did. There it goes.
Okay, good. Excellent. Well, good evening, everyone. And welcome to our Unhoused Task Force meeting for November the 30th. Today is the 30th, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just want to make sure. I'm just checking in with all of you. Okay, good. You're all with me. So I'm going to now call this meeting to order. And first, I'm going to go to public comment, and this is an opportunity for the community to speak to an item that is not on the agenda, but within the purview of this committee.
Would it be all right for me to go through the roll call before we hit the public comment?
Yes. Did I skip a step?
Just a little bit.
Colin, that was kind. You caught me. There you go.
All right. Yvonne Beltran. Absent. Dion Bracco.
Here.
Present. Ann Bybee. I saw Ann. Ann is there somewhere. Raj Chahal. Absent. Evelyn Chua.
Here.
Present. Lee Clark. Absent. Rich Constantine. Absent. Crystal Cooper. Absent. Karina Dominguez. Karina's here. Maya Esparza.
Here.
Present. Antonina Atari. Absent. Brian Franklin. Absent. Anthony King.
Here.
Present. Larry Klein. Absent. Lydia Koo.
Here.
Present. Liz Lawler.
Present.
Present. Kitty Moore.
Here.
Present. Darcy Paul.
Here.
Present. Raul Perales. Absent. Dr. Randall Pham.
Here.
Present. Preston Prince.
I am here.
Present. Lucas Ramirez.
Here.
Present. Lisa Reeve. Lisa Reeve is here somewhere. She is present. Jerome Shaw.
Here.
Present. Vishali Surkey.
Present.
Present. Diane Stepanoff.
Present.
Present. Vice Chairperson Ellenberg.
I'm here.
Present. And Chairperson Chavez.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Did anybody join us after their name was called that wanted to? I just want to check real quick to see if there's anybody on. Nope. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We have a quorum. We're now going to see if there's anybody from the public who would like to speak to an item that is not on the agenda, but within the purview of our committee.
There are no requests to speak.
I'm going to close the public comment and I'm going to go back to our agenda. So, and we're going to start with our consent calendar. And on the consent calendar, we have two items, and that is the acceptance of findings for continued remote meetings, which I think allows us to meet tonight. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And then a report on this is an approval of a delegation of authority for me to
up the presentation. And first, we are going to start with the City of Campbell, and we have Council Member Lopez.
Great, thank you. And by the way, my name was not called for roll call, although I was on. My colleague Ann Bybee was called. Just wanted to note that, but happy to start with the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a really hot topic in the city of Campbell. It was in part what we discussed just last night. And so a lot of these are in progress. We're making good progress. We have not yet developed an implementation plan for strategy 3, but we are developing policies and strategies that are being included right now in our housing element. Targeted addressing homelessness. So we discussed this just last night, and staff is going to come back with a number of programs to address that. Our inclusionary housing ordinance requires affordable housing for residential projects of 10 or more units. We're actively coordinating funding for rental assistance and services to support safe parking programs and continuing to support those programs. We coordinate public access to nonprofit housing services. And we currently have a contract with Project Sentinel that addresses housing discrimination, tenant landlord dispute resolution, and housing counseling. And we also provide information online to inform residents of foreclosure intervention services and the aforementioned services as well. Expanding land use options. We currently allow emergency shelters by right in a portion of the city's light industrial zone near transit and commercial services. Again, this is a safe parking ordinance. We allow RVs in off-street driveways of residences on commercial parking lots or parking lots within the public facility zoning district. As I mentioned, we're actively working on our housing element right now. Just had a very substantive meeting on that last night. And following its adoption, we're including a lot of these strategies as part of that and looking at expanding those services. So this is going to address strategy 3 from the community plan, including commitment to approve plans to develop at least 45 new extremely low income housing units. Amending the zoning ordinance to allow low barrier navigation centers and at least 2 mixed use zoning districts in the city. Looking at amending our city's density bonus ordinance to allow an additional density bonus for projects that propose at least 5% of units for extremely low income. Updating and maintaining the city's website to now include multilingual information on resources, as well as programs pertaining to fair housing laws, rehabilitation loans, rental assistance programs, rental eviction protection, and home buyer and foreclosure assistance. And we're planning to conduct at least 1 outreach event a year on available housing resources and programs, and working with community organizations to identify what city documents and resources should be distributed by additional venues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lopez. Next, we will move on to the city of Cupertino, and we have the housing manager, Carrie Fusler. Carrie?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. It's nice to see all of you. So to highlight Cupertino's work with the Unhoused, the city of Cupertino endorsed the community plan to end homelessness on December 15th in 2020. I believe our city council was the first to endorse this plan. To highlight some of our work on the Strategy 3 implementation guide as part of our current fiscal year 22-23 city work program, which is our special projects chosen by city council. We are formulating a city plan to align with the Santa Clara County community plan to end homelessness. I wanted to highlight that in December of 2021, over 150 people in the community attended our kickoff workshop for the city plan to end homelessness. And we've had a very active community engagement process. And then next slide. Oh, and thank you. So for interim housing solutions, in last fiscal year, we provided $35,000 in emergency assistance funds to assist the unhoused members of the encampment located along Wolf Road to mitigate safety hazards, including COVID-19. To add a little bit of context to that, through the city's partnership with the county and many of our local service agencies, we were able to provide motel to 15 members of the encampment. And we understand that 5 went on to receive permanent supportive housing options as a result of this program. So we're really proud of that effort. We also have a county site in Cupertino. The acquisition is tentative and underway at 10591 North De Anza Boulevard. And lastly, and I'm going to add a few pieces off this slide, we are in partnership with the West Valley Rotating Safe Car Park program. We actively meet with them to support their efforts in Cupertino. And I wanted to note that some extra efforts, the city created a homeless jobs program to create a jobs program for up to 2 individuals for 8 months. With the support of City Council and in partnership with West Valley Community Services, this program is in the 2nd year, and we have assisted 4 individuals in obtaining employment and housing. In addition, the city is underway with the support for the Unhoused special project to review Cupertino's alignment with the Santa Clara County Community Plan to End Homelessness. And overall, we appreciate the continued support from the county team with guidance, resources, and outreach. We appreciate the partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. With the city of Gilroy, we have City Administrator Jimmy Forbes.
All right. Good evening. Thank you, Consuelo. Next slide, please. There we go. Okay. So the city of Gilroy City Council endorsed the plan to end homelessness on April 19th of 2022. As for the Strategy 3 implementation guide, we have not finished that, but we did, with our city council, appointed 3 members of our 7 for an unhoused ad hoc committee. And that committee had recommendations, including a safe parking program, which we are in the process of developing. We also hired 2 quality of life officers that specialize in training that they received concerning unhoused issues, mental health issues, and a connection for us to be out in the field and to connect them with service providers. We have explored certain a la carte options with County Office of Supportive Housing, and we also designated for the first time an employee, the city's program administrator, who has oversight over unhoused issues and conducts monthly unhoused service providers meetings with our service providers to ensure that everybody is communicating what they're seeing in the field. The city also entered into a 5-year agreement for PLHA funds with the Office of Supportive Housing, which allocates homeless prevention and down payment assistance programs. And we continue to search and apply for funding and grant opportunities. One of the big steps that we've taken is we've now assumed the role of being the point of contact for those in the city, and we work in collaboration with local service providers. Our main efforts right now are connecting those in need to services and resource navigation, and making connections with local nonprofits that didn't currently exist, and then internal communication, working with our quality of life officers to serve as that field level connection. And then expanded use of options for shelters. We know that the shelter is not a long-term solution, but it is what we have for now, including the Gilroy Armory. One additional thing that we've been able to accomplish that these slides are from September, so that we have done things since then, is the site, county-owned site at 8th Alexander. We did enter into an memorandum of understanding with the county for the site to be used for Measure A funds, and I'm currently in that process with Office of Supportive Housing. So we are looking at longer-term housing options. Next steps is we continue to work with our friends at the Office of Supportive Housing, we have finished the MOU for Measure A. So like I said, these are from September, and there's a possibility of an estimated 57 new units for the community, and we've started the public outreach process for that. And then we have joined the PLHA consortium for a 5-year agreement, which allocates homeless prevention, outreach, and down payment assistance programs with the community, and that will continue because we're only in year 3 of that plan. We have been working with Destination Home in support of Gilroy's plans to better implement strategic priorities for unhoused residents and families, and direct outreach efforts for our unhoused residents to better navigate resources in securing housing and maintaining safe and livable dwellings. We also are in the middle of our updating our housing element, and have submitted our first draft to the state, which we have affordable housing options and findings and analysis that will be made available and support the strategic priorities to address community needs. And then we will continue to facilitate the Unhoused Service Providers Group to serve as a welcoming, informative, and action-oriented group, including working towards setting goals and objectives by the group, and then addressing resource needs, gap areas, and services needed in such areas as detox centers, inclement weather, warm and cold, and affordable transitional housing for individual families, and safe camping parking areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Next, we have Economic Development Director Alex Andrade with the City of Milpitas.
Thank you, Consuelo. Good evening, everybody. Alex Andrade, I'm the Economic Development Director, as well as the Housing Interim Lead. Joined today by Councilmember Evelyn Chua, as well as our Assistant City Manager, Ashwini Kantak, and our Housing Authority Administrator, Robert Musalam. So in terms of status updates, city staff is continuing to partner with the county and abode services on various activities such as homeless street outreach, assessment, and case management to make sure we're connecting the unhoused residents to critical services. So based on the latest unhoused services report, about 140 people have enrolled and about 145 people have been assessed as of early this summer. City staff is also continuing to partner with We Hope and their Dignity on Wheels to provide both mobile shower services as well as laundry services, and that takes place on Sundays. Over 500 people have received over 1,000 showers. Approximately 460 loads of laundry services have taken place, as well as over 160 unduplicated individuals have received services from the spring through late summer this year. In April, our City Council considered recommendations from a community-based homelessness task force. And at that meeting, the council directed staff to move forward with a tiny homes village feasibility study. So that has been kicked off and it's underway. Every week, various city departments meet to address health and safety of the community, as well as to enhance homeless prevention for at-risk residents. And we most recently heard from a city in Alameda County. They're interested in replicating our internal city cross-departmental collaboration model. So we're also very proud to share that approximately 540 affordable housing units have been approved or are currently under construction. In that same respect, we'd like to say thank you to the county. Most recently, the Board of Supervisors approved $23 million for an affordable housing project here in Milpitas, which is known as Mill on Main. That's going to yield about 219 affordable housing units in the future. And we have over $3 million in funding for unhoused services and homelessness prevention. In terms of interim housing solutions, we've been actively working with the county on various strategies to address the housing needs of the unhoused individuals and families that are currently at 100 Hillview, which is a former hotel here located at 1000 Hillview Court, very close to City Hall. And then no update on any land use options. So next slide, please. We're partnering with Assemblymember Alex Lee's office on utilizing $1.5 million of state funding on serving those that are at risk of homelessness and the unhoused. We expect to continue to expand the city's mobile shower and laundry services, as I mentioned earlier, for another 3 years. We are also looking at potentially establishing a resource center, which could be a pilot for a two-year program. And then we'll continue to provide rent relief to vulnerable Milpitas residents. I mentioned earlier that we have kicked off a tiny homes village feasibility study. We're working with consultants Julie Ledbetter and Elaine Digg-Cogley. And we expect that report to be ready for public consumption, perhaps mid-2023. We're in the discovery phase and we're speaking with various stakeholders for learning opportunities. We submitted our housing element draft to HCD about 6 weeks ago, and we have a meeting scheduled with representatives from HCD next week. It'll be our preliminary review, and we will obviously be responding to any inquiries that they have next week. We are very excited and getting close to launching our rent and mortgage relief, which is funded by ARPA and a little bit over $1 million. So we're going to focus on the rent portion first and then come back and do the mortgage relief thereafter. We're going to continue to fund unhoused outreach services and mobile shower services, as I mentioned before. We'll continue to work with the county, Consuelo and her team, and Jamboree to ensure safe and effective management of Home Key project at 1000 Hillview Court. And that is the conclusion of my report on behalf of Milpitas. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Next, we have with the City of Morgan Hill, Councilmember Beltran.
Hi, thanks so much. I want to first thank our housing team that does a fantastic job of getting all this together. So what we've done is we adopted the plan on December 2nd of 2020. We are about on track to submit our final housing element in early January. And we started really with the 5 Ps. So the production of new housing inventory and making sure that we are having a diverse housing stock, the promotion of housing programs, and being sure that we are educating and getting that message out to our residents, preservation of the existing housing stock, prevention and the prevention of homelessness and what we're able to do as a small city here. And then also protecting the quality of life and making sure that the moves we make within our housing and addressing our housing are equitable. The impacts, are helping those that need to be most helped, and that we continue to look at the quality of life in our town. And then the next thing I want to focus on is the capacity building. That we received a capacity building grant from Destination Homes, and that has really helped us kind of focus and look at a plan for extremely low income units in Morgan Hill. We also were able to get an unhoused specialist, Brian, and he's fantastic. I did do the point in time count with him and had a chance to get to know him. He has made contact with 95% of the referrals that came in and looking to get them into permanent housing. And then also working along the PERT, the psychiatric emergency response team, to make sure that we have collaboration with mental health and that we're using the resources that we have with the county behavioral health department, so that we're kind of working as a team. And then I will just say, you know, some of the things that I want to highlight that we have done is that we have a safe parking program. We've been able to help 30 families, and we do find case management for that. Again, I want to thank Destination Homes for the support they've given us here. With the grant, we have an inclement cold weather shelter, which has 10 beds, and the city has partnered with one of our local faith-based organizations to do that. We take housing and affordability with the community through our housing element process. We've really kind of doubled down on doing communication and engagement and making sure that people understand. Prior to some of the changes, we had a residential development program that kind of had many people understood and were used to, and that had slowed some of the growth as we were able to do. We were also able to do our affordable housing and get that really diversified, but things have changed, as we all know. And so we're really focusing on re-engaging with the community, educating them, bringing them along, and making sure that they understand what is happening as we're moving ahead, so that they don't just see the development, but they understand what the process is of that. And we have 554 affordable rental units that are currently in the development pipeline. I think, you know, I've covered most of this. I don't want to take more time. This is just a snapshot of the different housing that we've been able to bring into Morgan Hill, get approved, work with, again, our housing team's been fantastic in working with our developers here to make sure that we're leveraging that and getting units built where maybe we wouldn't have had them built before, so at lower income levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Beltran. Next, we have with the City of Mountain View, Mayor Ramirez.
Thank you, Consuelo. First, I'd like to acknowledge the Mountain View staff, including Parneet Dimsa, Kimberly Thomas, and Audrey Ramberg, who helped prepare this presentation. And there are many others among the staff who have done remarkable work in this space. I'm going to run through the material pretty quickly because I have 491 words to go. The City of Mountain View endorsed the community plan to end homelessness on December 8th, 2020. Mountain View staff serve on the Strategy 3 Steering Committee. The council has set a goal to adopt a homelessness response strategy this fiscal year, and other key initiatives include continuing to address quality of life issues related to the COVID-19 pandemic. The city has implemented multiple programs, including rent relief, deployment of hygiene stations, and direct financial assistance, and most notably, our Guaranteed Basic Income pilot program. We also provide wraparound services. We've incorporated an increased emphasis on the local and county behavioral health and social worker services available to our residents in need, including housing problem solving, information referral, and case management services. And we've also added a new human services division to the city manager's office. For outreach, we've convened and coordinated a number of outreach programs in conjunction with the police department, including a community outreach officer and a community services agency, our social services agency for the city of Mountain View. For outreach to the public, we've committed to multi-channel outreach to various stakeholder groups, service providers, and the public. And for housing and shelter programs, we've initiated a number of programs, including emergency shelter, safe parking, interim housing, and core housing programs, which I will highlight in the next slide, please. The county and the city council approved an MOU between the city and the county reserving $80 million in 2016 Measure A and other funding to support affordable housing projects in Mountain View. We have approximately 860 additional affordable units in various stages of development. I think many of you may be familiar with the Life Moves Mountain View Project Home Key community on Lakehorn, which provides 100 units of interim housing. We have 65 emergency shelter beds in partnership with the county, including a partial year cold weather season shelter. And our safe parking program provides 101 parking spaces, approximately 70 of which are reserved for RVs. Next slide, please. The City of Mountain View and Life Moves are proud recipients of the 2022 Urban Land Institute's America's Awards for Excellence, considered one of the real estate industry's most competitive and prestigious award programs. ULI selected the Life Moves Mountain View project as one of 10 winners from 68 entries across North America. So very proud of that. Next slide, please. For housing solutions, Mountain View has a revenue share agreement for $525,000 with the county to partner on safe parking operations through a contracted provider and provides a caseworker for permanent supportive housing. The city also funds case management and housing information and referral services at CSA. Mountain View has partnered with the county on the Life Moves Mountain View Project Home Key project and also the Crestview development, which is a hotel acquisition and rehabilitation, converting the hotel into permanent supportive housing. And then for expanded land use options, this is the final piece. Mountain View has adopted a safe parking and emergency shelter ordinance adopted in September 2019, which expands the city's land use codes to allow for additional options for emergency shelters. We basically allow emergency shelter in almost all zoning districts in the city now, and we also have two permit options for safe parking on private land. And the City of Mountain View adopted a shelter crisis declaration that is in effect until June 30th, 2024, which enables the streamlined safe parking permit process as indicated earlier. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Ramirez. Next, for the City of Palo Alto, we have Vice Mayor Ku.
Good evening. Last year, Palo Alto endorsed the city's community plan to end homelessness. At the time, we discussed and provided direction on strategies for service for unhoused Palo Altans, including supporting an application for Project Home Key funding for emergency shelter. Since then, we've made a lot of progress on implementing strategy 3 of the community plan. Strategy 3 of the community plan is improve quality of life for unsheltered individuals and create healthy neighborhoods for all. We've expanded our safe parking program to provide multiple sites throughout Palo Alto, including a public land partnership with the county on Gang Road, which provides parking for RVs and other vehicles, a safe and inviting space. There is also lending library for the kids. There's on-site laundry facilities as well as bathrooms and services. We also have congregation-based safe parking in several locations. We continue to support the Opportunity Center, located near amenities in Palo Alto Medical Foundation, to provide drop-in services, drop-in support services for the unhoused residents in and near Palo Alto. This last Monday night at the council meeting, we had a discussion moving forward our housing element update, which includes policy related to homelessness prevention and services. We have a balanced approach. Our approach maintains and protects housing as well as increase services for those experiencing homelessness. As I mentioned earlier, last year we applied for Home Key, and in partnership with Life Moves, we were awarded $26.6 million this year. With this money, we're building an 88-unit interim housing shelter with wraparound services for not only singles and couples, but families as well. If we could go to slide 2, please. We have interim housing solutions available in our community, including a growing safe parking program The Hotel du Zinc, which is congregation-based and provides shelter beds at different locations on a rotating basis. We also have Heart and Home Collaboratives, which provides shelter and also includes residents as well, residents that are housed and unhoused to work together. We have the wraparound services available at the Opportunity Center and our soon to be built interim housing shelter through Home Key. In terms of staffing, we've hired a new assistant to the city manager to help coordinate these various solutions, and we're in the process of getting an outreach worker on board to better connect people to services. We are also aware of the need for dollars to support this work at the local level, so we are pursuing grant funding through the permanent local housing allocation. Palo Alto's expansion of land use options for shelters is really demonstrated by our Home Key project on public land. This is the first of its kind effort in our city, and we're so proud to move forward with this important work. I also want to take the time to thank our staff, especially our Deputy City Manager, Chantel Cotton Gaines, and our Assistant to the City Manager, Melissa McDonough. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Koo. Next, for the City of San Jose, we have Deputy Director for the Housing Department, Reagan Henninger.
Good evening. Thanks, Consuelo. I'm joined this evening by Councilmember Maya Esparza. The City of San Jose endorsed the community plan back in August 2020. We are working on a formal implementation plan for our city that is a citywide approach to preventing, ending, and managing homelessness. Recently, since we all convened, the city hired a new deputy city manager that is overseeing our citywide approach to homelessness. And so part of that role for our new deputy city manager will be this implementation plan and how we're incorporating the role of fire, PD, library, parks and rec into managing homelessness and quality of life, both for unhoused individuals and housed residents. So our implementation plan, when it is done, will be very comprehensive and include multiple departments, not just the housing department. We do have 5 priority projects that have been approved as priority from our city council. The first is the expansion of our interim housing, or sometimes called emergency interim housing. The council approved a goal of reaching 1,000 new beds of interim housing, which is in alignment with strategy 3 of the community plan. And we are confident we will reach that goal between our interim housing and our Project Home Key sites. We also are working with a consultancy firm, Homebase, on a financial feasibility study for the current interim housing sites that we have. Over the last 3 years, the city built 5 new interim housing communities, mostly in response to COVID-19. And post-COVID, we thought it's an opportunity to really think about how interim housing fits into our overall homeless response system, and what is the best use of interim housing, what are the best services, and how can we ensure that we're incorporating the voices of people with lived experience in our interim housing plans. We're also expanding our outreach services. Over COVID, we developed a program called Services Outreach Assistance and Resources, or SOAR, but it is a very proactive street outreach program that is targeting some of San Jose's largest encampments with proactive street-based case management and services. Also, during COVID, we developed what we call an encampment management strategy, where really the city has stood up a trash service for over 200 encampments in the city of San Jose. Trash service, trash for cash, things like porta potties, really, I think, improving quality of life for people who are living unsheltered. And then finally, we have also stood up during COVID an eviction diversion strategy in partnership with Destination Home and the County Office of Supportive Housing. Next slide, please. So in terms of our interim housing solutions, I mentioned that we built 3 new sites over the pandemic. We are on target to reach our 1,000-unit goal. At 3 sites, we have 317 units completed. We currently have a site that is under construction right now at Taylor and 87. That will be an additional 96 units. We have a 204-bed Project Home Key interim housing site at Monterey and Branham, and then a 100-bed expansion planned at one of our existing sites. And then yesterday, our city council just approved an additional 300 beds at about 3 more sites. So we are quite confident we'll reach our 1,000-unit goal, and the governor just announced approval of another Project Home Key site for San Jose. It's a $19.9 million award to acquire a 72-unit hotel in downtown San Jose. In terms of expanded land use options for shelters, we do have some things we're working on in our housing element, as well as a policy priority that's been made a priority by our city council in terms of expanding where shelters can go by right. Next slide, please. And then for next steps, we have a lot of work to do on completing all of our interim housing units. You can see here some images of what we built over the last 2 years during the pandemic. Over the last 2 years, we have sheltered in these interim housing communities almost 1,200 individuals, with 69% of them moving on to permanent housing or transitional housing. We're also at the beginning of the new year, we will be taking to council our feasibility or our financial feasibility study for our interim housing that will have some recommendations about the use of interim housing and things like designating certain sites to serve subpopulations within the homeless community, for example, serving survivors of gender-based violence. We'll bring that study to council likely in February. And we will also bring forward to council for their input and approval in our citywide implementation guide. Thank you.
Thank you, Reagan. Next, we have the City of Santa Clara. Adam Marcus, the housing manager.
Thanks, Consuelo. Good evening, everyone. Adam Marcus for the City of Santa Clara. And I'm here representing the City Council, but as well as various staff members throughout the city through community development, police department, fire, parks and rec, libraries, all the folks who are working day to day on this issue. It's not just a housing issue, so I want to acknowledge them. We've seen a disproportionate increase in homelessness as of 2020 here in Santa Clara, and our council has noticed that and has already taken quite a few actions leading up to this point in terms of partnering with the county on permanent supportive housing, offering tenant-based rental assistance, case management, and supporting the prevention system. But tonight, I wanted to focus more on strategy 3 and some of the things we're looking at to go forward to do more and to further those efforts. One of the key things I wanted to talk about tonight was the task force process. So our council put together a fairly interesting mix of folks, which interesting because it was both community members and agency staff on one task force. And that concluded in October. We now have a draft strategy that's out, and we'll be discussing it with our city council early next year. And from there, we do hope that will lead to a series of implementation steps once we identify some resources. And that's been a very productive outreach, not just with the task force, but with the broader community through various meetings and stakeholder opportunities. In terms of interim housing solutions, we do have several locations operating with the Bill Wilson Center, operating a 20-bed shelter for youth. In terms of non-congregate shelter, there's also a 15-bed transitional group home site. Covenant House converted an old motel into transitional housing program for 30 youth. And Resources for Community Development, an affordable housing developer, is working with the county on renovating the Bella Vista Inn to create 64 units of interim housing, and that is phase 1. And phase 2 will include a larger number of units that will be permanent supportive housing, and the city is in discussions with RCD about that. In terms of land use, the city is proposing amendments to its zoning code to allow emergency shelters in commercial, community, commercial, regional, and low intensity office R&D zones for shelter bed, when a shelter bed shortage exists. Currently, these are only permitted in light industrial areas. We will also continue to work on our housing pipeline. We know housing is one of the most important ways to address homelessness, especially extremely low income housing. So we will be focusing on moving forward over 300 units of extremely low income housing and supportive housing. We will continue with through our police department outreach team, doing outreach and crisis response. We will continue to offer mobile shower and laundry once a week, as well as furthering the findings for our homelessness response strategy, and hoping to roll that out in early 2023. Again, and we are looking at leveraging sources such as the county's challenge grant, the upcoming home key round, PLHA. We are also working with the county on PLHA. And so again, just happy to be here, and thank you for the time to share our update.
Thank you, Adam. Next, we have the City of Sunnyvale, Mayor Klein.
Thank you very much, Consuelo. I first want to acknowledge Sunnyvale housing staff, community development staff who created this presentation. Assistant City Manager Terry Silva has been focused on unhoused issues and housing opportunities in our city. So ultimately, we've been focusing in a lot of ways on the unhoused in our community, and actually have seen, at least from a point in time count standpoint, the number of unhoused actually being reduced. From an implementation guideline, we endorsed the countywide plan in August of 2021. And right now we have multiple studies going on. We're looking at warming shelter options and partnering with the county as far as that's concerned. We're looking at safe RV parking, and currently have, looking at safe RV parking from a city standpoint. We already have one of our churches doing safe RV parking, and we're also looking actually at guaranteed basic income. We've implemented tenant protection ordinances over the last year, and ultimately looking at what we can do as far as additional protections, both in the mobile home community as well as in making sure the preservation of affordable housing. Right now, from interim housing solutions, we're talking to a lot of people, but haven't found any possible locations for home key sites. And then as far as expanding the options for shelters. We continue to partner with the county on the Hamlin shelter, and very happy to see that as an active part of our community. And I'm thankful for all the work that the county does to utilize the potential 175 beds there. As far as next steps is concerned, we're constantly doing additional permanent housing solutions. Right now, we're looking at 100% affordable housing developments, looking at 580 new deed restricted developments, 2 sites with permanent supportive housing. Just last month, we awarded $16 million in local housing funds. We continue to get other funding. Measure A funds are currently being allocated for future developments here in Sunnyvale. And then as far as continued supportive homeless programs and homeless prevention, we're currently working with several nonprofits to deal with service programs to serve the unhoused. We have our Work for Sunnyvale program, which has been very successful for many years. We also have lots of smaller public nonprofit developments that they're providing food, providing supportive services to our unhoused in our community. And right now we're looking at utilizing $2 million in contracts for tenant-based rental assistance. So we're making sure trying to prevent homelessness is critical. And then as far as our implementation of Sunnyvale's housing strategy, we have been very active as far as closing several specific plans, which are adding additional 8,500 units already to the city, and at least 15 to 20% of that will be affordable. And of course, our Moffett Park specific plan, which we will finalize over the next 2 quarters, is looking at adding additional 20,000 units into the north part of our city, of which we're looking at multiple permanent affordable housing, permanent supportive services there, as well as a certain amount of inclusionary housing. So happy to see those sites and additional approved specific plans and housing constantly being open in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kling. And now I will turn it to Hillary Baroga, who will present on behalf of the county.
Thanks, Consuelo. From the county's perspective, our approach to the implementation guide for Strategy 3 is that the Office of Supportive Housing's work plan includes implementation items, and we'll discuss many of them in the next couple of slides. We also have strengthened our coordination between outreach providers, and that includes the cities, the CBOs, our lived experience advisory board, advocates, and multiple county departments, including the Office of Supportive Housing and the Behavioral Health Services Department. In the past few years, we have made some advances in interim housing solutions. This includes, and probably one of the very exciting things for us overseeing the system, is the shelter hotline implementation. During COVID, we stood up a hotline where people could call in and get connected to shelter beds so that they didn't have to go from place to place and wait and break social distancing requirements. And we were able to carry that on post the quarantining portion of COVID. And now most of the shelter beds in the county are referred through this shelter hotline. And the shelter hotline also includes a component of service called housing problem solving, in an attempt to divert people from needing to utilize the shelter system, because we know we don't have enough beds for all the people who are seeking them. We also have in 2021 opened Casitas de Esperanza, which is a shelter for 25 families with kids using tiny homes at the Civic Center campus in a spot that outside of the former San Jose City Hall that wasn't being utilized. We have opened Willow Glen Studios on Pedro Street in San Jose, which is a former nursing home, and are using that for interim housing for adult households who are moving into permanent supportive housing and are waiting either to locate a unit or for their unit that is being developed to be ready and open. We also were able to convert the Gilroy Cold Weather Shelter out of the former National Guard Armory to a year-round shelter, and also increase its operations to be 24/7. And under the Heading Home campaign, have been able to increase capacity and access to shelter for families with kids by utilizing motel rooms throughout the community. We also have been making efforts toward expanding land use, and so we continue to assess the feasibility of using county-owned land for safe parking sites, as well as have worked with our facilities and fleet real estate team to make sure that they have the requirements for what would make a suitable use for shelters. In terms of next steps, we recently awarded the first loan for our service enriched loan program. These are the challenge grants you may be familiar with that the Board of Supervisors approved this year. We are really focused on implementing home key programs and utilizing home key funding. So we have for home key round 2, active projects with the cities of San Jose and Palo Alto. And for round 3, are anxiously awaiting its release so that we can put in additional applications. As I mentioned before, we are implementing housing problem solving both through the shelter hotline and then system-wide. So that is a scaling up in progress. The county is working on an RFP for temporary housing and basic needs services, and sometime in 2023, the first half of 2023, expect to make awards from that RFP. We also are learned through COVID that we can do a better job at making sure our system is prepared for emergencies and has continuity of operations plans. And that's not to say we didn't all do an outstanding bang up job, but we want to support our providers in being more ready. And finally, we continue our focus on increasing the supply of permanent supportive and affordable housing, because we know, as you all do, that we will not end the problem of people being unhoused in our community unless we have a sufficient supply of housing for them to utilize. Thank you.
Thanks, Hillary. Chairperson Chavez, that concludes the presentation. Happy to turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you. I know we have one more item on B, I'm sorry, on 4, and that's 4B. What I'd like to do, colleagues, if it's okay, I'd like to go to see if we have any public comment, take the public comment, then talk about 4A, and then we'll move on to 4B, just because 4A was so chunky. I think it might be good to dive into comments and questions now.
Should I set the timer for 2 minutes? We do have one request to speak.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
And is now a good time to call the speaker?
Yes, perfect.
All right.
Thanks, Colin.
The next speaker is Paul Soto. I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute. You will have 2 minutes to speak. The timer will start when you begin speaking.
Good evening. My name is Paul Soto. I'm from Barrio Horseshoe in San Jose, which is the Gardner area. It was D11 on the redlining of 1939. So I know what it's like to live in a barrio that has been generationally deprived of resources because of racist policies. And I can tell you for a fact that all of your policy decisions right now, and history will bear this out, is that they will fail because you're leaving out one particular component from all of this good sounding euphemistic language that you're using in order to address homelessness, is that you are leaving out the fact that you are not stopping or stemming the reasons why we are experiencing homelessness. Okay, because you're not touching market rate housing. You see, you're afraid of associating market rate housing with poverty creation. See, you're afraid of doing that. You see, and market rate housing is off the table. See, this is how you ameliorate this housing crisis that you guys call it. You cap market rate housing at 50%. Every single city right now, 50% of what it is that you have slated to be built, you cap that at 50%. Until you have increased the low-income housing stock up to at least 75% of year after year goals and maintain that goal for 3 years, then you can lift the cap off for market rate housing. But your policies and all this money, it's going to fail, and people are going to continue to die in our cities. Why? Because you continue to neglect the fact that generational poverty, racism, and class issues have created these systems that we are contending with today. And insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. And that's what you're doing.
And that concludes our request to speak.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go back to my colleagues and see if there are any comments or questions based on the presentations that you just heard. And I don't see any hands raised. I do just want to make an observation. First, I wanted to say, Hillary, Consuelo, thank you for pulling everybody together and getting all of this to be able to take a look at just the body of work that's happened over the last year. I wonder if, based on all the work that you're doing, Consuelo, this is kind of putting you a little bit on the spot, but anybody else can answer this. If there is a way that you think we could do a better job of improving our partnerships with all of the cities, and in part just based on all the different work people are doing, I can see there's already a ton of connections, but are there any areas, Consuelo, that you're looking forward to saying, you know, here are some new areas that we're going to lean into in the future?
Thanks, Chairperson Chavez. Yes, absolutely. I think over the last couple of years, we've learned a lot from our city partners. And one of the things that we're working on, and really it was comments that we received from several of the newer cities that we've been engaged with, is developing a menu of options of services that if the smaller cities that don't have the capacity to have their own teams, you know, if they wanted to invest in the system, how can they partner differently and what are those options? And while we have templates, you know, it's not always easy to see, you know, what does $100,000 of investment get my city? So one of the things that we, in our work plan for this year that we didn't mention in the presentation is developing that work plan so that when we have those conversations with cities that are interested, it's a lot easier for them to understand, you know, what they get in exchange. The other thing is really pushing the challenge grant for emergency interim housing. One of the things that we've learned in identifying new sites for shelter is that the leadership is really needed at the local level. Because if we, the county, come in and try to push that, even if the council members are supportive, it doesn't compare when you have a city that's taking the leadership. And I think we saw that with the city of Palo Alto. And I did want to take a second to recognize Assistant City Manager Chantal, because I think she showed and demonstrated that leadership. She framed the issue for her council. We were there to support, but it was really the city's leadership that allowed that project to move forward. And so those are two of the big observations that we've made. We're definitely here as staff to provide technical assistance, identify the funding, partner with cities. But I think those two things, Chairperson Chavez, the menu of options, and then making sure people know that from a technical assistance perspective, we are here to help them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other comments or questions from my colleagues before we go to 4B? Darcy? Yeah.
Get to my mute button there. Thank you, Chair Chavez. So I do have a question. Would it be helpful, and you know, we've been looking at it recently with regard to the declaration of a shelter emergency or crisis. I know that in the empowering state legislation, Santa Clara County was included in it. If the do the individual cities of the county need to declare that in order to help invoke those permissions under the state code, or is it something that we're covered in the county? And in particular, if we have the county acquiring certain land in our various jurisdictions, if the county owns it, does it help if the cities themselves have a declaration of a shelter crisis, or is it something that we can just kind of lean on the county status already? I have a related question to that, and I know that we have some interest from the referral by you, Chair Chavez, as well as Supervisor Lee, from a year or two ago about interim housing. And my understanding is that there's going to be an update on that coming from county at the beginning of calendar 2023. Are we still on track to get that update with regard to temporary housing in the county?
So Consuelo, I think, yeah, maybe I'll start with you.
Yes, apologies, everybody. I just was kicked off of the Zoom meeting. So, Mayor, I hope I understood the question correctly. We have received a number of referrals from the board related to expansion of safe parking and temporary shelter or emergency interim housing.
Yes.
We also have the challenge grant, which we're connecting the two because from our perspective it makes sense that way. The board referral that you're speaking of calls to identify sites in Sunnyvale, Campbell, Santa Clara, and San Jose. And then the challenge grant can be in any one of the cities who is interested in applying that. So we are working on a response to those referrals. Some of them may come off agenda, which means it's not actually scheduled for the board's consideration, but we can absolutely send those out.
Okay, and so the first question I had asked Consuelo, I think is probably while you were offline, but the declaration of a shelter crisis, is that something each of the jurisdictions need to declare in their own cities, or can we rely upon Santa Clara County's inclusion in the initial declaration as passed by the state law? And I wish I had the state law reference handy, but it's the one that has, I believe it's Appendix O, where there are certain there are certain requirements that are essentially sidestepped for these interim housing solutions.
Yes, I think we may have to take this question, Mayor, and get back to you. I want to say that yes, every city needs to declare their own, because I know the city of Mountain View and San Jose and a few others did that, but perhaps if we can through the chair, share that information and connect with county council.
Okay, and just very briefly, with regard to the referral that we're talking about, you named a certain subset of counties, cities within the county. What do other cities need to do to get, to be a part of that study or the referral that's being, examined by the county at this point?
Great question. The referral explicitly asked us to look at properties the county owns.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the first step that we took, is looking at existing properties. Are they underutilized? And then partnering with those respective cities in which the properties are located. If any city is interested, please call us.
Okay.
Especially if there's interest, it doesn't have to be in a referral for us to work together.
Got it.
Right, and that's actually what I was going to say, Darcy. I appreciate the question. And some of the housing developments that were discussed today were initiated by some of you who said, I've got property in my community, and I know we're looking at a warm shelter based on Mayor Klein's request. We're one of our investments in, I think it's in Los Altos, was a council member who said we have some land. So I would just say, the programs are really set up to to create opportunity, but we want more opportunity. So don't be afraid to say, hey, I've got a property or I've got an idea. We're all in. We're going to jump in there.
Awesome to hear. All right, thanks.
Thanks. Sergio?
I just wanted to follow up on Mayor Paul's question to Consuelo, which is an excellent one. And please request that the information from council about what cities need to do for a state of shelter emergency, please be sent to the city of Campbell as well, because that is something that we're actively looking at as well. Thank you.
And I will just say, anytime there's a request for information, we will send it to all members of the committee, not one. So you got it. Larry?
Yeah, and thank you, Cindy. I just wanted to comment on the warming shelter or concept, and I know that that's the pilot program we're currently looking at, but just so that everybody knows, in case they didn't hear about it, it's most of our cities have libraries that we utilize as warming centers during the day. But of course, overnight is the big issue. And the pilot program that we're looking at partnering with the county on is ultimately utilizing one of our park buildings on the emergency cold weather nights, the 15 or 20 or so that happen in a year. And all of our cities have park buildings that are viable, but it's always a staffing issue. So it's finding the right location. And I think, you know, the cities partnering with the county, cities providing the locations and conceivably some availability as far as supportive cleaning and all that during the daytime, but the county looking at finding staffing overnight is a great solution that could ultimately be utilized countywide. So I just want to thank the supervisors and counties staff for partnering with the cities and looking at different programs. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Dr. Pham? You're on mute. You're on mute, sorry. See if you can. Oh, I don't know where he went. Okay. All right. We're going to go to item 4. Oh, Dr. Randall Pham, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes, I have a question. You know, as we approach winter, the temperature has lowered considerably. Is there a plan to urgently and emergently house those who are most vulnerable with their immune system, knowing that we have a possible rise in virus, especially respiratory infection, especially in children?
Consuelo?
Yes, thank you for the question. We have activated, because of the number of days that it will be cold and raining, we have activated through our emergency management office in partnership with them. We have activated the inclement weather episode that we are in right now. And so all of the libraries, there's a list of libraries that are open during the day. This evening, our VHHP team, in partnership with all other outreach teams, are going out actually right now, distributing blankets, anything that people might need to stay warm, and then also bringing people in. Also through Mayor Klein's leadership and Supervisor Lee, we're looking at an opportunity to expand an overnight inclement weather beds at the North County shelter. So there's an entire strategy around this. Through the chairperson, I'm happy to forward that information for those that are interested. We have a call number set up, and the city of San Jose, for those that are located in San Jose, they also have their overnight warming locations that they've activated.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to ask staff, let's move on to item 4B. This is a report from the Office of Supportive Housing and the Housing Authority related to the challenges faced by people who have subsidies, but they can't find a place to go even with their vouchers. And so Consuelo, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Hillary's going to take the
All
lead
right.
along with the Housing Authority.
Excellent.
Thank you, Supervisor. And thank you for having this presentation tonight. So along with Maria Rodriguez from the Santa Clara County Housing Authority, we are going to talk about the challenges faced by subsidy holders. And we're going to talk about the types of subsidies, how people get connected to a subsidy, how unhoused people get connected to a subsidy, the road to housing once the subsidy is awarded, roadblocks and opportunities. So there are, in the subsidy world, there are different types of subsidies. This slide talks about the different sources of funding for housing subsidies and who administers those subsidies, or who does all the paperwork with the subsidy holder and makes sure to pay the landlord each month. There are project-based vouchers, and project-based vouchers are connected to the unit. So it's usually a batch of project-based vouchers in a housing development. And no matter who the tenants are moving in or out, the subsidy stays with that tenant. There are some instances after a certain period of time where if a tenant moves out, they can take a subsidy with them and the unit still is subsidized. There are also sponsor-based sources of subsidy, and the sponsor-based sources, subsidies stay with the sponsor. So the sponsor can be a community-based organization, like a behavioral health services organization, and they can either rent a single unit in the market or a batch of units at a development. And whether the person moves or not, the sponsor can decide whether the subsidy stays with the unit or if the subsidy goes with the person who was in it originally. And then finally, there are tenant-based rental assistance sources, and those are sources where the subsidy is awarded to a person, tenant, and the tenant holds on to that voucher as long as they continue to be eligible. And the two primary administrators in the community, in our community, who administer rental assistance are the Santa Clara County Housing Authority, and the county contracts with a rental assistance program administrator to manage a lot of our funding sources. So in terms of connecting unhoused people to subsidies, first, people enroll into the coordinated entry system and are placed in the community queue. When a housing resource is available, the matchmakers for the queue pull the next prioritized person, and our client engagement team locates that person and then helps get them document ready. And then the process is a little different for tenant-based subsidies versus project-based subsidies. So for tenant-based subsidies, where the tenant has to find a unit in the community, we also call these scattered site subsidies. Their service team works with them to apply for the subsidy, get that approved, then apply for the unit, get that approved, and then, or for the, first the subsidy, then apply for the unit, and then a request for tenancy approval, which means that the subsidy administrator has to approve the unit that the tenant has been selected for. And there's an inspection process to make sure the unit meets housing quality standards and so forth. So that's the process for tenant-based subsidies. In project-based subsidies, we help the person identify the unit that they are seeking and get that application submitted and approved. And then the application has to also be submitted to the subsidy administrator. And then once that is done, the tenant and the property submit a statement of family responsibility, which basically indicates that they know what their responsibilities are as a subsidy holder. So from that point, then we get to the process for the more in-depth process within the housing authority. So I'm going to turn it over to Maria now.
Thank you, Hillary. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and continue the process about and provide you all an brief overview of how what the steps are when a family does eventually get subsidized or gets a voucher. So first, the housing authority assists family that are income eligible, that are pulled from our interest list, and or are referred from an outside source, directly referred to the different programs that we serve here at the Housing Authority. Now, once the family is pulled or directly referred, the Housing Authority determines their eligibility based on their income and family size. Then they eventually get issued a voucher if they qualify. And that voucher is good for 120 days. And of course, you know, the family cannot use the voucher without the owners renting to our families and the community out there in the community. So we do want to thank our owners for renting to our families. Go ahead, Hillary. So I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit about the road to housing. Hillary mentioned a RAFTA, or request for tenancy approval. Once a owner chooses a tenant with a voucher, the Housing Authority has a responsibility to go ahead and do three things for this family. One is we're going to go ahead and run the rent reasonableness to make sure that the unit the family is renting is compared to open market rents, to make sure that the unit is reasonable in their rent portion, or actually in the rent, in the market rent. Also, the Housing Authority is going to go ahead and determine if the family is eligible, because the family cannot pay more than 40% of their income towards their rent portion. And of course, another thing that the Housing Authority will do is go ahead and once we look at that, then we're going to go ahead and set up an inspection for the family so we can make sure that the unit is going to be safe and sanitary for the family to live in. So once that's done, the unit passes inspection, then we're going to go ahead and the owner and the tenant are going to go ahead and sign a lease. And then the Housing Authority is going to go ahead and start a Housing Authority payment contract with the owner. And then hopefully by that time, the family gets their key and moves into the unit. All right. So I do want to talk a little bit about the housing quality standards. What that means is that the unit has to pass inspection, like I mentioned earlier, but the standards are developed by HUD. There's a little bit of a misconception from some owners that feel that maybe, at least the ones that I've talked to, is that feel that maybe they have to have a unit that is perfect, new countertops, new flooring, but really the unit just has to be safe and sanitary for our families to live in order for it to be subsidized. When we do the inspection, the unit has to be ready for an inspection. And then once it passes inspection, we start that contract that I just mentioned. But most importantly, if for whatever reason the unit does not pass inspection, we're going to go ahead and do a recheck inspection within a set amount of time. If the unit fails, we're going to go ahead and provide a list of items that need to be repaired for the owners. So that way, when the inspector comes back, you know, the items that failed the inspection, they need to be repaired. And normally, whenever there is a failed inspection, it's usually a very easy fix, like maybe there's an outlet missing from a wall, or maybe a smoke detector is missing. So then when we come back, we want to make sure that that unit passes the inspection. Okay, so this is a really important slide that I always like to talk about, because there's a legal relationship between the owner, Housing Authority, and the tenant. So if you notice here on this slide, the owner has a HAP contract with the Housing Authority, okay? Then the Housing Authority gives a voucher to the family when they qualify based on their income eligibility. Then the tenant and the owner have a lease. So this is the legal relationship that's in this big triangle on what the responsibilities are. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the roadblocks to housing that some of our tenants and our families do encounter. You know, some of the roadblocks that they encounter, of course, is some don't have good credit, you know, when they're searching for a unit in order to qualify for an apartment. They also at times are negatively stigmatized because they're a voucher holder. And then of course, one of the biggest roadblocks is their deposit. A lot of times the families don't have a deposit to be able to move into a new unit because, you know, everything's very expensive. They need either a first and last month's rent, and a lot of families don't have that available, those kind of funds to be able to move to a unit. And of course, as you all know, living in this community, there's not many accessible units for our families, such, you know, the low vacancy rates for those that need maybe a wheelchair accessibility. Sometimes it's very hard for them to locate housing. And of course, landlords at times, you know, they don't favor voucher holders. Sometimes they don't like to rent to those that have government assistance. Also, sometimes they disqualify them because, you know, again, you know, maybe they don't have the money for a deposit, or, you know, they have to wait for a deposit from an outside agency that does provide the deposit for the families. And sometimes the landlords would just rather go ahead and rent to those that have the money available and that can move in right away. So some of the opportunities that we could provide is maybe education. You know, our local jurisdictions can partner with service agencies to maybe develop a more uniform deposit assistance for the families, maybe provide some fair housing training. And of course, most important is keeping landlords up to par with any new laws that may be changing or local ordinances, and maybe even educate the landlords on some common tenancy issues. So another form of assistance could be a monetary assistance and some incentives that could be provided for the families. Some of the good ideas that came up when this PowerPoint presentation was being made is maybe, you know, there could be some incentives on providing deposit assistance. I know a lot of our elderly families, they don't have the assistance from family members to be able to help them move. And then we even get calls, you know, from some elderly families that we serve that they don't have anybody to help them move them. So, you know, from place to, you know, from one place to another. So maybe that'll be a good incentive that some could come up with or assist with. Utility assistance. I know that when somebody is getting utility, maybe even for the first time, or maybe their credit isn't good, you know, the utility companies, they do ask for some high deposits in order to turn on the utilities. So maybe that'll be an incentive that some could have. Background checks, you know, are very expensive for our families. So maybe there could be some encouragement to landlords to maybe, once they agree to rent to a tenant, maybe that could be a last resort that they could run their, you know, their background check after they do agree to rent to them. So there's a lot of incentives I could come up with. Also, there's damage claims. You know, a lot of landlords feel that maybe there'll be some damages in their unit and there isn't enough money to cover with their deposit. So maybe there could be some kind of damage claim fund made up. There's also landlord bonuses that are given to landlords that do rent to Section 8 participants, which I'm going to go ahead and mention on the next slide. So our current incentives to landlords that we provide here at the Housing Authority, we provide a landlord bonus payment for brand new landlords that are going to be renting to Section 8 tenants for the first time. It's a $1,500 bonus payment that is to them. It is not a deposit for the family. That doesn't have to be reimbursed to the family. This is solely a landlord bonus payment as a thank you for renting to our participants. And of course, we have an ongoing landlord loyalty payment. And this payment is for landlords that are continuing to rent to Section 8 tenants within the 90-day period from their last Section 8 tenant. We go ahead and also give them a thank you payment for continuing to rent to our tenants. Okay, I'm done with the presentation. Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you for that presentation. I'm going to go to public comment and then we'll go back to the committee for discussion.
We have one request to speak.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Paul Soto. I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute. You will have 2 minutes to speak. The timer will start when you begin speaking.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Once again, if you look at the histories of some of these families that are accessing this service that the counties provide through HUD, you will find the generational impacts of the racism and the classism that occurred that have their origins in the redlining maps. These are families that have experienced poverty generationally, because it wasn't just the redlining with respect to the neighborhoods, okay? It was also within the context of the schools. You see, I don't speak Spanish because of the way that my mother was treated in these schools, and because it was the cultural genocide that occurred in the San Jose Unified School District, Allen Rock School District, Eastside Union School District. And what that meant is that they tracked kids into vocational schools, meaning that none of their parents were tracked for college. And we all know that college is a means for upward social and economic mobility. Okay, but because of these racist policies in these schools, it created generations of poverty. Okay, and so one of the pieces of analysis and data that I want is how many of these families can trace their lineages to the 1950 census or the 1940 census here in San Jose or in Santa Clara County. That's an information and data point that I want collected, because I want to know how many of these people have a legitimate claim to reparations. Because I think we need to start talking about that. I think we need to start talking about all of these barrios that profited from those racist policies, that we need to start taxing those homes and the equity that they're collecting. They're collecting from $150,000 to $200,000 per year because they live in a racist neighborhood. So what I want is the equity in those homes in Rose Garden and Willow Glen taxed at 2% per home per year.
The next speaker is Urvish Mehta. I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. The timer will start when you begin speaking.
Thank you very much to the respective commission members, as well as the task force and board of supervisors, county staff, and the respective councils. What I wanted to emphasize on as a part of low-income family and the respective cities' plan towards addressing the challenges. First of all, it is important to note here that since 2004, the minimum California wage, which was started from $1.07 and now which is coming up about $1.15. So what we have to identify is that what are the level of people which is under the census living under the poverty line. The poverty line, which basically decides that, the type of a people which are under the low income family, which is basically making the income which is less than $5,000. And considering the fact that some of the cities implementing the plan, which is allowing the 5% of increase with the low income that is to be allowed for those families to provide the affordable housing and dwelling units, it is equally important to derive that how many of them are actually in a need of. The county of Santa Clara, which is surrounded by a community which is full of student life, for example, a San Jose State University, De Anza College, as well as the Santa Clara University as well. How many out of those students, how many out of the families which are actually in the requirement of the low-income houses? Secondly, once we have that census information, it is also equally imperative to note that how many of them are actually claiming that amount as well as making sure about that, they're having a certain amount of repression coming every now and then, and making sure that they are not below the poverty line. That is equally important to note that. So such statistical information would be able to help identify the number of people that's required those housing. Thank you very much for consideration of comments.
And that concludes our request to speak.
Excellent. All right, Lucas.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Maria, for the presentation. I have a couple of quick questions. First, does a voucher holder residing in a city with rent control also benefit from the protections provided by those local ordinances, so rent control and just cause for eviction protections?
So yes, they would. Did you want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
Please, or
Okay. Yes, they do. Any landlord that serves notice to a tenant, they must abide by the tenant protection ordinance. Either right now, I think City of Mountain View has one currently. I'm not sure of the City of San Jose, but of course the City of California also has them. So they have to abide by those ordinances. The owners do before
Okay.
you serve notice to a tenant.
Thank you. And then does the authority work with cities when there are challenges with any providers or tenants or landlords who are participating in this program? Is the city generally aware of all of the properties where voucher holders reside?
So if I understand your question.
I can actually take that.
Go ahead. Thank you,
question.
Angie. Thank you.
So, hi, Lucas. I understand that we'll be having a conversation soon. Yes, actually, because we have a HAP contract with every landlord that rents to our tenants, then we do know who is currently leasing to all of our tenants. Now, oftentimes, if we are not made aware of the issues, then there's not much we can do to assist. So the important piece is the communication between the property owner and the housing authority. I will say that on our end, our role is to determine what happens with the rental assistance, with the voucher itself. It is up to the landlord, the property owner, to enforce the lease. We cannot enforce the lease. And that's really, really important for everyone to understand, because oftentimes we're asked to enforce the lease. We're asked to, begin do the legal process for evictions, and that is not within our legal authority. I just wish that the word authority wasn't in our name. Because there really isn't that much authority.
Very confusing. Lucas, did that answer all your questions?
Yes, I may have missed it in your response, but just to make sure I understand, do my staff, for instance, City of Mountain View staff, know which properties in the City of Mountain View participate in this program? No. So
No,
the housing
your staff
authority
does not. No, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking if our staff did. So no, your staff does not.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions for my colleagues? On this item, I have a request, and Supervisor Ellenberg, I'm going to ask this of our county staff, working with the other teams that are on the line. I would be very interested in having our staff come to our board, the Board of Supervisors, with a recommended framework of how we can support the housing authority in increasing access. And Consuelo, one of the things that I'm most interested in is that some time ago, well, a couple things. One is that for many people who've been homeless either don't have good credit or they're not going to have credit for years, right? And so as we're trying to move people into housing, it seems to me like a cruel trick that they get a voucher and then not be able to make that last kind of step. And I've wondered a lot about if it is possible for the county to create, in partnership with cities and with the housing authority, a fund that is flexible enough to be used in whatever way it takes us to get somebody into housing, and that allows us to support efforts to build that individual or that family's credit as part of the process, so we don't undermine their ability to get credit by doing something that isn't helpful. And so that's one thing. And then as it relates to utilities, I would be very interested in us looking at our partnerships with the different water providers and with the with PG&E and all of those, and the CCAs, since those are quasi-public, to look at partnerships with them where they don't have a loss, but we're not forced to put a whole bunch of cash up to make sure that people can get the connections they need, and again, to be able to use it as an opportunity to build someone's credit. I don't want to do anything that impedes that credit, but I do think, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, and I think if we develop the program robustly enough, it can also be utilized by people who don't necessarily have a voucher, but have the basics of what they need to move into a place, and are missing these components to it. So what I would like to see is, if it's possible for Consuelo, your team and the housing authority, and then the cities that are on that are interested in being a participant, because we'd want a little bit of revenue from everybody to go into a resource that allows us the flexibility to be responsive to what individual needs are, and frankly, not to have people fill out yet one other form. You know, this should be really part of the and probably a little necessary for our rapid rehousing too.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Chavez. You know, we don't always have the time to talk about all of the new things that we are doing and trying. So through the pandemic, one of the things that we learned in partnership with Preston and his team, and really excited to have Angie and Tracewell, who joined maybe about a year ago now, is almost a year. They bring a lot of the innovation from Fresno that we've started to implement here, including the use of waivers that allowed us to move people in, start paying landlords, and then wait for the documentation to come in. But our client engagement team started a new program where they go out in teams to the encampments or to wherever the unhoused individuals are, and they process all of their eligibility documentation. So within this 12-month period that we've been piloting this kind of document ready, they have served over 1,200 households. Basically getting them ready, and their packets literally are this big because of all the various requirements. So they don't have to navigate the system. They are teamed up with one of our client engagement specialists, and all they do is make sure that they're eligible. If they need their social security card, driver's license, whatever they need, they drive them, they make the appointment, they find the documentation. But it is a lot of work. So one of the things that we're looking at is expansion of that team. We did apply for a continuum of care grant, and fingers crossed in January, we will learn if we get that. That will allow us to expand the team by 13. But definitely, yes, Chairperson Chavez, we can work with the Housing Authority, put a presentation together and bring that forward to the board, and any of the cities that are interested in learning more about that. We do have some existing partnerships with Morgan Hill that have been we've practiced and tried a lot of this in Morgan Hill. So any city that is interested, please reach out through our office, and we'd be happy to come up with something together.
That would be great. I think that's exactly where we want to be going. And that's exciting stuff too, all the prep work you're doing. Susan?
Thank you. Cindy, I want to note that I think this is really exciting, and I think that your direction is spot on. In Santa Cruz County, this is already happening through a partnership between their housing authority and Abode. And in fact, Abode is paying up to 2 months of a security deposit that will, interestingly, that will go to the renter at the end of the lease term if there's no need for the landlord to withhold any of it. They will pay the rent up front until the housing authority until the voucher kicks in. Sometimes landlords don't want to rent because there's that waiting period. The slide that we looked at a few moments ago that listed those barriers are all being addressed. So what I would like to know, and what I would ask Consuelo as part of the presentation, is whether we already have any partners in our county, such as Abode or others, that are doing this work. I think that there's a way to expand it and make it more collaborative, and I would certainly support all cities putting into this, but I just want to make sure that we are not duplicating anything that is already being done externally. The credit question kind of makes me smile every time I hear it, because from a landlord perspective, the rent is guaranteed. You're getting the voucher. So there's a lot less worry about credit. And when the tenants have to pay 30% of their income and they don't have income, that can be zero, that can be $20 a month. So I think a lot of this is frankly, is a communication and a marketing piece to make sure that people know all of the pieces that are available, stories that would give stories of landlords who have had positive experiences doing this, being able to talk directly with realtors and landlords. Where we're seeing this, I know you're aware, with our Heading Home campaign of trying to get landlords to accept vouchers for families. So this is the right direction. We do need to be providing this additional support. I just want to know who's already doing it in our county and how we can help build on that. And if no one is doing it, is it the county that takes it on? Is it a partner that we bring in to do it? So thank you for leading on that.
Thanks, Susan. Karina?
Thank you so much. Thank you both for your leadership and for hosting this meeting. Something that I'm thinking about here in the city of Milpitas, we've been working extremely hard the last 4 years. And one of the challenges that I am meeting is that the working class, what I'm hearing is there's a lot of programs that are coming from the county. It could be help with rent, help with deposit. It's every program, but what's happening in Milpitas, at least, these programs are being first offered to people who are already assessed, and that was why it was so important to have the assessments. The challenge comes now with working class families who have not been assessed because they're not homeless. So how do we keep families, particularly in the middle class, working class, low income, housed so to prevent the displacement? I'm not too sure if the county has another system that maybe they could do a different type of assessment for individuals who maybe are one paycheck away from being homeless. So we could maybe tap into and help them stay and not spend that extra money on the first month's rent and the last month's rent, since they already have a home. It's just helping them keep up with those payment plans. And so I know that that's been a challenge here in Milpitas. I know even with the housing authority, when the application period is closed, there is no support system. For example, I have 3 community members now who live with the family member. That family member is moving to South County. They just need maybe a program that helps them month to month, but nothing is open for them. So they will probably end up being homeless. So as the county moves forward with, I think this program is great, but I would be really interested to see if we could come up with a system that's making the assessments and not waiting until people get classified as homeless, because then they won't qualify to be on this list. And that's the list that everybody's using to provide services.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Karina, I think one of the areas that we are very, very focused on right now is on the homeless prevention. That's a really big focus of the county. And as a matter of fact, one of the areas that we've been working on is, we're working on a program to get to functional zero for homeless families right now. But a big component of that is going to be partnering with schools and other groups to make sure we are doing the prevention work. And that prevention work will include subsidies like you just described. I don't know, Consuelo, if you want to add anything into that.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Chavez and Councilmember Dominguez. Thank you for the question. So we do have a homelessness prevention system pilot. It has been running for 5 years, and there is a separate phone number to call to access services. So if somebody is not literally homeless, we refer them to the Homelessness Prevention System Network. It includes 41 partners. Destination Home is technically the administrator, and then we contract out with Sacred Heart, who in turn contracts out with the network providers. So that's one immediate resource for those families. The other, which Hillary mentioned, is the housing problem solving. That's through the shelter crisis hotline. That is meant to divert people from shelter if they are still housed and need some assistance in problem solving. Sometimes a one-time infusion of resources to help them stay housed, or just really connecting them to other resources. So those are two things that I would recommend connecting those community members. And Councilmember Dominguez, I would be happy to send that information through Assistant City Manager Ashwini, who I believe was on earlier. I'm happy to connect through her and have her send that information over to you.
And we can send it out to the group. I think one of the challenges I'll just add is that I think that it's still a program that's being developed. I mean, I think it's I don't know if you think that's a fair point, Consuelo. And what I mean by that is that the systems are still we're still kind of learning how to do that intervention well. And so I don't know. I for one am really interested in taking a look at the prevention piece of our work in a very discreet way, even separate of all of this other work that we're doing, because obviously we have to stop the pipeline or we're not going to catch up. So I think, yeah. So anyway, I think there's more to come on that area, Karina. Thank you for raising it.
Thank you.
Preston?
Thank you, Supervisor Chavez. I wanted to respond just very quickly, maybe a sneak peek to the presentation that we'll do in partnership with Consuelo and staff from OSH. And I have to say real quick that Angie and Consuelo are probably texting each other, like saying, what's he about to say? What's he about to say? But I hope not to get into trouble. So real quick, I think the questions around a fund to help people get into housing, whether that is with down payment assistance or what really could happen is a mitigation fund to help landlords overcome their concerns about damages that might happen. Many times communities do mitigation funds and they don't get tapped into, but just the confidence that it's there allows landlords to participate. I also agree with you about building up credit. And as people know, rent payments aren't part of creating a good credit score. I think we need to explore about how do we get that on-time rent payment to be part of creating someone's credit score. And then with utilities, PG&E had a pilot project a couple of years ago. I do not know the outcome of it, but they were looking at people who were kind of, for lack of a better word, banned from participating and getting new accounts at PG&E because of past debt. And then PG&E helped pay for that debt and got them back into, into good standing. They saw that as an anti-homeless program, that it was a way to stop the inflow into homelessness that could happen when people couldn't access utilities. So I would love for us to explore some of those things. Supervisor Ellenberg, I just want to give a big shout out to Angie and what she's been doing at the Housing Authority. It's not seen outside just yet, but she's gone through a really rigorous process to overhaul and really reposition the entire housing choice voucher program and looking at how all of the policies and procedures happen. One of the things is a creation of an owner services department. There are 3 staff that are part of that owner services department now. They are going to be doing a couple of things. I totally agree with you about communication and marketing. One of the things that they're going to do is they're going to call everyone who is a current landlord and see if there's a way to get them to grow the number of landlords participating in our program. They're also going to contact people who once were landlords and see how do we get them back into the program. They are doing outreach, meetings with potential new landlords, but would love to be able to share with you some of the work that's happening around owner services. And then Councilmember Dominguez, I just wanted to say 1,000 40,000, 100,000. So there are 100,000, I'm sorry, there's 1,000 vouchers turned that get leased up every year in Santa Clara County. It's about 100 a month. We have 40,000 households on our interest list at the Housing Authority. So it's going to take 40 years to serve the 40,000 households on our interest list. And that does not count all of the individuals who are unhoused on the street, who probably have not put their names onto our list. And I think that means we probably have 100,000 income eligible households in this community that could use rental assistance, right? The number is really staggering. And so hearing about 3 individuals that you know directly that are struggling and are housing insecure, I sadly know that it's a story throughout the county. The president's budget, the current federal budget gave us 91 new housing vouchers, 91 for this year. That's into our 17,000 voucher program that we have right now. The president's budget does propose 140,000 nationally for 2023. That is now being held up because of the election. We'll see what happens with the House and the Senate, and if they decide to move forward on that budget. If there are 140,000 new vouchers nationally, our community will get about 1,700 new vouchers. That would be a huge increase in what we've gotten over the last 10, 20 years, if you don't count VASH and the emergency housing vouchers. So we've got to keep advocating for more vouchers so we can make a dent in that 100,000 number of people who need housing assistance. So that's just a little quick sneak peek of what I think we'll talk about with you down the road.
Well, that is a perfect ending to our meeting. Colleagues, I have one request for you. We did not vote on the consent calendar. I want to thank all of you very much for hanging in, and I'm going to ask if the consent calendar is items 5 and 6. If I could
approval.
Great. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. A second by Councilmember Esparza. I see no hands raised from the public, so I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to ask for a roll call vote.
Dion Bracco. Is that it? Is Dion still here? I'll say no.
Nope.
Member Bybee.
Aye.
Yes. Member Shahal is absent. Evelyn Chua.
Aye.
Yes. Clark is absent. Constantine absent. Cooper is absent. Karina Dominguez.
Aye.
Yes. Maya Esparza.
Yes.
Yes. Atari's absent. Member Franklin.
Yes.
Yes. Member King.
Yes.
Member King's yes. Member Klein.
Aye.
Member Koo.
Yes.
Member Lawler. Oh, she had to leave. My mistake. Member Moore.
Aye.
Yes. Member Paul.
Yes.
Yes. Member Prowse is absent. Dr. Randall Pham.
Yes, here.
Yes. And Preston Prince.
Yes.
Lucas Ramirez.
Yes.
Member Reeve.
Yes.
Is there. Member Shaw.
Yes.
Thank you. Member Sirke.
Yes.
Member Stepanoff.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Ellenberg.
Yes.
And Chairperson Chavez.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. And thank you very, very much, all of you, for your interest and your leadership in housing and for the report outs. I think it was a good idea that we come back and look at how far we've come. And while there's still a huge amount of work to be done, I do just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for your leadership and your advocacy, and to our staffs for being tireless in doing our best and their best to address housing insecurity and homelessness in our community. I will make sure that we have a way, and I would like to have a conversation with our colleagues on the board about what are some next steps for this committee or a committee like it. So I do want to say thank you to all of you, and I will be asking my staff to send out a survey about the meetings and the experience of being part of the Unhoused Task Force and what other work you think should be done, because I don't necessarily think this is the only vehicle. There are many, many vehicles, and I look forward to finding the right one to continue our collaborative work. I think the collaboration has been really critical. So everybody have a blessed, safe night. And I look forward to seeing you all face to face very, very soon. Thank you. And thanks to our staff for putting this together. Be well and safe. Thanks.
Recording stopped.